I would just tell her to go hard. I said, you know, you're not going to fool anybody, just dominate, and things aren't going good, just reach back for a little more and just make sure you always go hard. So on the inside of the glove, I engraved it. So that's what that was all about.
My name is Tera Ross, and I attend American Heritage High School in Plantation, Florida. I will graduate in the year 2000. Since the age of 14, I've played with the Florida Mustangs at the 18 and under level. My position for them has always been pitcher. I'd like to think of myself as an aggressive, yet team-oriented player. I hope the following skills tape will assist you in your decision-making process. Thank you.
She was born May 7th, 1981, and it was a special day because that is also my birthday. So she was born on my 26th birthday, and it was the best present I could have ever gotten. It took her 36 hours to come out. It was a long labor, but you know, she was worth it. And we were excited to have a girl. I always had the name Tera Marie picked out. I just liked that name, and so did Terry. So that's how she got Tera Marie. And she was born in Hollywood, Florida. That's where we lived at the time. And then when she was 3, we moved to Cooper City. They had better schools, and I have a son, Zachary, and he was 1 at the time. He's 20 months younger than she is.
She was just very easy. There was never any issues, never back talk or anything of that nature. She just rolled with the punches and was just extremely easy to deal with.
I think when she was about 8, we didn't start her out like a lot of kids are today, where they're starting them out at 5. She just played for the Optimist when she was younger, and my husband always sponsored. It was Classic Air. The first couple years I coached her team. You know, back then it was just learning the basics and letting them have fun. You know, I made the brownies, and if they did something good, they got the little star on their hats. And then she played for the Florida Mustangs when she was 12. That's who she was always with.
As far as softball getting started, she had a friend that was taking pitching lessons. And she just went one day with her, and then the instructor said, "You have any interest in trying this?" And I was like, I don't know. I've never done that. So from then on, she came home and said, I think I'd like to take a couple of lessons, just see how it goes.
She played on a good travel ball team that everybody knew year after year. They had a very good program. And first, you know, she was playing under a good team, but she was also playing under a legendary pitching coach down in South Florida. Al Arceo was his name.
She was not a natural. She had to work hard.
She had the opportunity and the ability to go right to the 18 and under group. So she was always, for the first 3 years, she was very young, but she was becoming dominant at that time. And once she kind of realized, I think, that she had an ability to be good, there was really no holding her back. Well, Georgia State was after, Samford was after her, Stetson, then Mississippi State, and then there was, of course, Jacksonville. But there was, you know, boxes of letters.
When I walked up, you see this towering 6-foot pitcher with long legs, and you're like, oh yeah, she that's the right frame for a pitcher, and that's what catches your eye. And then, you know, watching Tera, she had you know, she could throw a fastball in the mid-60s, which was very very good at the time and in our sport. And she's just a gritty looking player, the kind of player that I like. I mean, you never saw her smile much on the mound. She was very focused, and from that day on, we marked her and said we want to recruit her. We didn't think we'd have a chance at her.
Coach McGinnis saw Tera pitch at a travel ball tournament, and I was going out to Texas to watch a big tournament play out there, and she told me Tera's name, Florida Mustangs, make sure you watch Tera Ross, the pitcher. And so in Beaumont, Texas, at a softball tournament, it's the first time I ever got to see Tera.
In Tera's junior high school year. And Mark Weisner and Lynn, his wife, were actually, I think they were on their honeymoon at that time. And well, there's a national tournament, let's pull in. Well, just by chance, Mark saw her, and that was with the Florida Mustangs. And they were playing a team from Texas, and Tera really had a great outing, and they won. And Mark was fairly impressed, and from then on it was, he started calling and et cetera. He was, he's a great personality, and they hit it off really well.
First day you could call a recruit, I called her on that day, thinking I was going to talk to one of the meanest, cockiest girls I've ever met. And an hour later, after talking to the sweetest, nicest girl that I've ever been on the phone with, I really thought I had the wrong girl. I thought that they had picked up a girl, put a jersey on her, it wasn't Tera, but kind of find out it was, and the easiest recruit I think I've ever talked to.
Honestly, I thought, we won't have a shot at this girl. But you have to, throw the hook out there. You never know, and that's what we did with Tera.
I guess I got closer than anybody that I've ever recruited with Tera and her parents. I was even there for Tera's, when she was crowned homecoming queen. I tried to make the game. I actually missed it, but was at her house when she came in from the homecoming dance that night. But I called Tera every Wednesday night. She knew the time, about 8 o'clock. And I found out later from her mom that she was always ready and sitting there saying, hey, Coach Weisner's about to call. So that was very special to me.
She really didn't take any other visits. As soon as she got here, it was, this is pretty much it, Dad.
Yeah, it was the visit, because she went to a couple other schools and felt so alone, like they didn't really care about her. She had to sit in the bleachers by herself. So, but when she came here, and we fell in love with it too. I mean, we fell in love with Jana and Mark.
There was an exposure tournament that was being held in Florida, and we were there. And it was just before signing day, probably weekend, or I think it was a weekend before, and I think the following Tuesday or Wednesday was early signing. And a lot of the major schools were there. And Mississippi State came to me. I'm just watching the ball game, and she's having a stellar performance. And the coach came over and, are you Mr. Ross? I said, yeah. She says, I don't know how this happened, but this kid fell through the cracks. We want her. We want to fly her tomorrow out to the school and this and that. And I said, well, I don't know, that's not my decision. That's going to be Tera's. And after the game, they talked to her, and we discussed it, and she said, no, I don't want to go, Dad. So she says, I'm committed. And then she signed.
I had heard at one time her dad told her, said, Tera, forget the big stadiums, the big schools with lots of money. Said, in the end, the bases are all still the same. You still throw from 43 feet. Go where you're going to be happy and where you're going to be comfortable.
She was very excited. We helped them move in, and she was almost just giddy, getting her room ready, because Tera's not just the the plane. Hey, she wants it decked out.
Her freshman year was tough. She was homesick. I can remember her in tears, you know, the first semester. And we'll be like, Tera, it gets easier. It'll get easier. You know, once the season starts, we'll be so busy, you won't have time. But Tera, she loved family. She loved all of her family. She was very close to them. And, you know, I think that was the toughest thing the first semester.
Yeah, we talked every day. Yeah, every day. It was either we were calling her or she was calling us, and she'd tell us what went on in practice. Of course, Terry has to know everything, and she would start imitating Coach McGinnis. It was so cute. She'd go, well, you know. Yeah, we talked every day.
As far as the campus, I thought she fit in great. You know, she did not want to go to a huge school where she would just be a number. I mean, she wanted the relationship that she has with, you know, fellow students, fellow professors, as well as coaches and the team. You know, she had her ways and her morals. She had been brought up one way, and I never heard the girl say a cuss word. She was just a very good girl.
Tera and I came in as freshmen together here at JSU. We were freshmen the same year, and you know, we played all those years of softball together. I think I first met her at our team meeting, where we have our team meeting before every season, and I just got to know her, and we kind of figured out that we had a lot of the same beliefs, so we just kind of stuck together and became really good friends.
In sports, they'll say fake it till you make it. I don't know if Tera was faking it. She sure didn't act nervous. I know she was excited on the inside, but I can remember just seeing her, just how proud she made us, because she stood on that mound like she was a senior.
On road trips, they would stick us together, and we'd play cards. Like I said, that was one of our fun things to do with the coaches. We'd play cards together, just laugh. We just laughed all the time.
She was the one that everybody wanted to try to pull a prank on. She had a little rabbit, stuffed rabbit. She called it Puffy, and the team would try to steal Puffy from Tera a lot. And one time we came out from a restaurant, and the team had beat her to the bus and actually hung Puffy in the window and turned all the lights on Puffy. And she saw Puffy, and Tera ran like this, and she'd throw her hands up and ran out to try to rescue Puffy.
People that watched her play couldn't believe how sweet and mild-mannered she was off the field, because on the field, she just looked like a fierce competitor. She was a fierce competitor. I mean, she took a shot off the chest one time and picked it up off the ground and threw it to first base and got the runner out. She was all about the team and all about us winning, and would work so hard. But then, you know, off the field, if she broke a nail, she would, you know, that would bother her. But if we were on the field, she was tough. And off the field, she was just the sweetest girl you'd ever know.
We've been blessed during my career at Jacksonville State to have a large number of really exceptional student athletes, and Tera was at the top of the list. She was a great student. She was a very competitive student athlete, softball player. Tera would bite your face to win a game.
JSU students were taking finals. The last day of finals was on a Wednesday, but on Tuesday she finished up her finals. And Tera stayed with us all day. And you know, that's when she'd come in and sit, and she'd talk to me about, you know, a date, or she'd talk to me about things, what she was going to do over Christmas break. And then she would walk in Mark's office. She was kind of the decoy. Afterwards, I found out she was helping Mark and Julie make me a collage, a Christmas present. But she spent all day with us. And it was funny, because right before she left, she came in, she had, "Love you, Coach," and then she walked out. And you know, you don't think about things like that, but you know, it means a lot. And so she told me she was going to be leaving the very next morning, and so she walked out, and then she come right back. She said, let me give you a goodbye hug. And you know, so things like that, it's like, it makes you stop and think. But that was the night before. They got up and they left the next morning. She told me they were leaving at 8. I guess they left at 8, and that was the last time we saw her.
I was at home. Me and my kids were just sitting around, and I got a call from Kelly Raw. Her mother called me and said, "Mark, there's been a terrible accident. Kelly has a broken leg. Zach has some injuries. They're at the hospital." And then she paused and she said, "But Mark, Tera didn't make it." When I got that call from Kelly's mom, that's when I started calling the other coaches to try to get a hold of them.
It was on a Wednesday night, and we go to church from 7 to 8. We just have Bible class. And I had gotten out, it was 5 minutes till 8, and the phone rings at the church. And then some little girl said, Coach, you got a phone call in the back. So I went back there, and it was Mark. He said, something bad's happened. Said, Tera and Kelly have had a car wreck. And he said, he was just breathing hard and just trying to tell me. And he said that Mr. Raw was at the accident site. The sheriff the state trooper had put him on the phone, and Mark had to confirm Tera's address. That's when we found out that she was for sure. So it's just like it just all happened at one time. And then Miss Ross called Mark and said the kids had been in a bad accident, just pray. So we didn't think they had been told.
And I had called Mark. As soon as I got news about Tera, Mark was the first one I called. I said, Mark, the kids have been in a really bad accident. I said, we got to pray. You just got to pray. This is serious. I was just rambling. We just got to pray. You got to pray like you've never prayed before. And he had already known, so that was the hardest thing for him, that he had to. And all he said, yep, we're going to pray. And I said, okay, I'll let you know.
It was tough because I'd already been on the phone with a state trooper that was at the accident site. And, he said, whatever you do, don't tell the family. And I couldn't tell them that anyway, even if he had told me to, I don't think. And the phone rang, and I just picked it up, and I happened to look at caller ID, and it said Jamie Ross. And it was all I could do just to answer it. But she just said, hey, Mark, I don't know if you know, there's been a terrible accident, and we're on our way to the hospital, so just pray. And so she didn't ask me anything, so that made it a lot easier. And so all I said was, all right, I'm praying. And she hung up, and I didn't talk to them until the next morning.
They had hit a truck that was carrying explosives to Eglin Air Force Base. And we don't know what happened. We don't know. We thought in the beginning that Tera fell asleep. It's a long drive. She was up late the night before getting packed in finals, and Zach was doing fine driving, and she felt like since he's been driving so long, it's my turn. They were taking another softball player, Kelly Raw, home. She was sleeping in the front seat. Zach was in the back talking to his best friend on the phone, and he said he could see that the car, she was driving his Explorer. Tera has a Mustang, so right there, there's a difference. He could see that the car was going there, passing a truck to the right, and he yelled out her name, Tera, like you would normally to anybody, that you saw that something was going to happen. So we don't know if that jerked her awake. She just overcorrected. We don't know if she was putting in a CD. We don't know what happened.
And on the way up, they would tell us my son's situation, how he was, and injuries and things that he had. And then, okay, well, what about Tera? They would say, let me put someone else on. They did not want to answer the question. I'm sure they didn't want to overly state the case while we're driving up there. I know it's bad, but I don't know how bad. I really thought that maybe she was maimed in some way, because it was the truck that she hit had military explosives on it, and so I'm visualizing she's burned or whatever. The worst possible things race through your mind, and then we would call back, and they would say, yeah, Zach is here, and okay, now where's Tera? Well, Tera's in another building. Tera's somewhere off-site. Well, you start putting two and two together. Then we were instructed to come up I-95 as opposed to the turnpike, and really, my wife and I did not have the radio on or anything. It's just like everything is just going through your mind, not knowing that the turnpike is completely shut down due to this accident. And we get to the hospital, and state police meet us, and said, we need to come, you need to follow us into this room and go in. And then they just said that Tera had died.
We flew out the next morning. It was probably between 10 and 12 o'clock. So we flew out for like 6 days to go down to Miami, down to Tera's home. As far as contacting players, it was all new to me. I really didn't know what kind of structure, how we needed to do that, because, like I said, not many people had cell phones at the time, and so we were having to contact them, but many of them were in airports trying to get home for Christmas break. So, but word still traveled fast, and people were calling us and emailing and all of that. So that's how I found out.
They couldn't have done more. Those are incredible people. And not just them, the whole university. This really is, very caring from Dr. Meehan. Jim Fuller was the athletic director at the time. Everyone connected, not only with the athletic department, but with the whole school. It was very gratifying and very comforting to know that they didn't, and that gets back to why we're glad she came here. She just wasn't a number like you would have been at possibly another school. The coaching staff came down to they were down at our house immediately. They very much took over in a lot of areas. They just handled a lot of things, made a lot of phone calls. They, and along with many of our friends, and it was just incredible how many people jumped in to help the situation.
The hardest thing was what to do with the team. How do we handle it? And we just got them all together over in the chapel, and we just said, here's time with just us, just the softball family, to say what you need to, cry if you need to, talk about Tera if you need to, and we did that. I don't know how long that was, but we stayed in there a while, and a lot of tears were shed, and after that it seemed like we could move forward a little bit. And the toughest thing for me getting back wasn't the first game, it was actually the first practice, because pitchers got here early. And I would work pitchers early before practice, and that was mine and Tera's time. And so the other pitchers were out there. I was in this dugout right here, and they were out there ready to go, and I just couldn't walk out there. It took me forever. I think Coach Bolin, Coach McGinnis said, hey Mark, you've got to get out there and get them going. And that was probably the toughest thing for me, was first practice.
The first game back, I know there was a lot of tears, but they had like a service, and we released balloons and all that in Tera's honor. But, once the game started, they were able to, it was kind of, a release point to where they kind of put it in the back of their mind, used her as motivation and drive. But mental-wise, I think as athletes, as long as they knew they were together and they went through the tough times together, they were fine with it.
Her legacy carries on, so people who don't know Tera from any other student athlete, they hear about her, how special she was, and I think young people subscribe to be like her.
Just enjoy every minute that you have with people. I tell my girls know the story about Tera. I tell them every year, because they don't realize how precious your time is, and how those relationships are only temporary. You're not going to be with each other forever, so you have to soak up every moment and just live in the moment and love it. And you never know what swing would be your last swing. You don't know what practice could be your last practice, and just to enjoy every minute of it. I think that definitely has helped me in my coaching.
Tera loved us. That's the hard part. As much as we loved her, she loved us back. She loved us equally. A lot of times parents, one child will love a parent more than the other one or favor one, but with her it was equal. Both Tera and I were loved. And that's what we miss. We miss having her. And all that goes with that, you know. My concern was I never get to be mother of the bride. Right now, everybody's having grandkids. So there's things in your life that's hard, still hard. But we're so thankful that for the person that she was, that the memories that we have, the support of JSU, our family. You know, they're our family. That's why we bought a home here. We live, you know, we bought one. We have a log home up on Catacoula Mountain. It's all God. Because when she died, I said, Lord, how are you going to comfort us? Well, he comforted us with that house. Just his timing was right. He still comforts us. You know, JSU, what they do in her memory, you know. I don't know if you were listening, you know, they have the seats, the 31 seats. Now that's not a coincidence, that's a God thing, you know. So of course we bought the 31 seat and the 30. And, you know, so her memory goes on whether we want it to or not. But we're so thankful that it does. Because, and like I said, she was almost a perfect child. We have no bad memories. She never got in trouble. She wasn't that type of girl. You know, she was the kind of girl you wanted to take home to your mom and dad. But God got her first. So, and like I said, JSU, we don't know what we would do without these coaches and the staff here, and President Me, and everybody just loves us when we come here. That's what we need. Because this is the last place she was, even at, you know, when they came down for her service. We just wanted to be with Mark, Julie, and Jana. You know, all of our family was there, but that's not who we wanted to be with. You know, they were the closest to her and knew her, and it's still that way today.
She was like all things to all people. You know, even before the accident, it would be, you know, anyone that you ran into, anyone that she came in contact with, it was always, God, does that kid ever stop smiling? I mean, is she always happy? Is she, I wouldn't say that she's always happy. No one's always happy. But she took it as kind of her thing was to try to make other people happy. And in turn, it was, I guess that's what it would be. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. She just was very accommodating to anyone that she would talk to anybody at any time about anything. Your problems, she made them her problems. She was just a very special person. I just feel like we all got robbed because in an extended life, I don't know how many folks she could have really touched, helped. She's just one of life's nice people.
Now this is a Tera's senior year. I put a question out there for all the pitchers, and I just put what, and they had to answer this question: what I want Coach Wisner to say about me after this season. And this is Tera's response, and it stays in my desk, and I read it from time to time, and even share it with some of the teams when they need motivation. So her response was, wow, what a question. I've thought about this sort of thing this past summer. As I head into my last year, I'm filled with many different emotions. It seems like just yesterday I walked into the field for the first time. As I think about it, I still have many of the same goals, only a shorter time to fulfill them. Coach Wisner, there are so many things I hope you can say about me after I'm done with my career here at JSU. First off, I want to be a true leader. When the game's on the line, I want the ball. I hope to lead by example on and off the field. I hope that I can help show underclassmen the ropes and show them what it takes to be a Gamecock, and not just say Gamecock, a Gamecock softball player. At the end of this year, I'd also like for you to say that I'm a hard worker with a positive attitude. Pitching takes work. It just does not happen overnight. Even though there will be good days and bad days, I'd like Coach Weisner to say I never gave up, kept on plugging, never quit, kept fighting. Lastly, I'd like for Coach Weisner to say that I was one of the best pitchers to come through this program. I'd like for him to say that Tera Ross was different than any other past pitchers. She had her own style and her own type of intensity on the mound. I know coming into our program, you and Coach McGinnis had many expectations for me. I just hope that after my 4 years here, I was able to meet them. I've never been more proud of anything in my life than to wear this Gamecock jersey. I just hope that you too were just as proud to have me wear it.